Okay, welcome to Wrestling Through the Week. And this week, of course, was the build-up to the SummerSlam pay-per-view. And it was kind of frustrating for me. As someone who enjoyed, or at least was introduced to wrestling through late 80s, early 90s WWF, I remember how important the SummerSlam pay-per-view used to be. It used to be the second most important pay-per-view behind WrestleMania. And I think it is still supposed to be that, but you really can't tell. I mean, you really can't tell at all. It just feels like another throwaway pay-per-view. It seems to me WWE only cares about one pay-per-view a year, and that's WrestleMania. Everything else, just a throwaway pay-per-view. Throw any old shit on it. Throw Crime Time on it. Why not? Throw Kane versus Cali. That would be a classic. And that's really frustrating because SummerSlam should be a big pay-per-view. But if it was a big pay-per-view, then the build-up week to it would have been better than this. It really would. The build-up week to a big pay-per-view should be intriguing. It should be shocking, maybe. Certainly interesting and enjoyable. This was none of those things. This was sloppy. It was lazy. It was haphazard. It was thrown together. It was boring. It was boring. This really was. Anyway. Okay, we'll start off with Monday Night Raw. Because it started the week, fairly obviously. Okay, this was generally the point in the show where I badmouth the Raw guest host, in this case Freddie Prinze Jr., and then say the Raw guest host idea is stupid, ridiculous, redundant, has nothing to do with wrestling. But I'm actually not going to do that this week. You know why? Because Freddie Prinze Jr. was a fucking awesome guest host. He was really, really good. In fact, I'd go as far as saying, if they insist on having this concept of having celebrities in wrestling to boost ratings, I'd be happy enough to see Freddie Prinze Jr. as a permanent GM on Raw. I thought he was that good, and I think he'd probably do it. Anyway, some of you may be wondering, what's the difference between Jeremy Piven, who I badmouthed 2 weeks ago, and Freddie Prinze Jr.? The answer is everything. And you know, the interesting thing is, they cut virtually the same promo at the start of their respective shows. They said, "Oh, I've been a lifelong fan. I've been a lifelong fan. Wanted to do this my whole life. This is going to be a great night for you fans out there." They both said that. The difference was, Jeremy Piven was clearly disingenuous. He was clearly self-interested. He was there to promote his own film. And he clearly didn't have a fucking clue what he was talking about. Hence he called it the Summerfest, right? Freddie Prinze Jr., clearly knowledgeable. It seemed to me he wasn't there to promote anything. I didn't see him promote a single thing throughout the show. Clearly someone who knows the business. For those of you who don't know, Freddie Prinze Jr. was, up to quite recently, a booker on SmackDown. He is someone who has worked in the industry, he is someone who cares about the industry, and from this opening promo, you could clearly ascertain he is somebody who loves the industry. He was talking about all these WWF action figures he has at home. He was talking about all these WWF Coliseum home videos starring Mean Gene he has at home, of which I have many myself. And he went to the crowd, "Oh, you know what I'm talking about." And I was like, I bet they don't know what you're talking about. I bet 50% of them don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. They don't know who Mean Gene is. They think you're talking about Gene Hackman or something. But you could really sense the love in the way Freddie Prinze Jr. was talking. And then some weird music started to play, and I went into despair, naturally, because usually when something odd happens on Raw, it's going to be terrible. And sure enough, some guy comes out in the I Know What You Did Last Summer costume with the hook, and I think, oh god. But no, it's Santino Marella, and that's great, because he's awesome at promo, and he is genuinely, genuinely funny. I mean, seriously, it's very rare you find a genuinely funny wrestler. Santino is that. He was doing some parodies of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s films. He was doing She's All That, and he was like, "Look at me, I'm wearing baggy clothes and glasses. I'm clearly a nerd." It was awesome. It was hilarious. Then Orton came out, and Orton had a great relationship with the crowd because they were even more split than usual because it was his hometown. And Orton says he doesn't want to compete tonight. And Freddie Prinze Jr. says, "Well, you're going to compete tonight. You can't bully me. I'm not Seth Green. I'm not Jeremy Piven. You're really, really not. You're right." So Orton backbreakers him. And apparently this is the first time a Raw guest host has taken any offense from one of the wrestlers. How fitting that it'd be this guy, who actually seems to care about wrestling, right? So Freddie Prinze Jr. goes to hospital. He's selling his injuries. and he just buggers off. He doesn't appear till the main event. He's not an intrusive presence, he's not backstage, he's not promoting anything. This was great. He was a great guest host. Anyway, got to talk about the rest of the show. Carlito versus Kofi Kingston. Very good fast-paced match. Showed the depth of mid-card talent on Raw, which is often forgotten because everyone's talking about Triple H, Randy Orton and John Cena because that's all they focus on. Then we had MVP Swagger, which was basically just a 30-second match where Swagger got disqualified, therefore not spoiling their match at SummerSlam, which I was glad of. Mickie James versus Gail Kim actually was quite a good match at points, but no one's ever going to remember that because the ending was horrendous. Gail Kim basically, she just botched it. Mickie James went for a DDT and Gail Kim, I don't know why, but she just blocked it with her hand. Mickie James tried to salvage the finish by going for a spin kick, which they described as glazing because it missed, and then a forearm, which was supposed to knock Gail Kim out. Oh, it was terrible. As Bobby said, she's never going to get another title shot again, which is a shame because she's the best diva they have. Then we had Hornswoggle versus Chavo, which of course was one of the low points of the evening in a Falls Count Anywhere match. All I have to say about this is Macaulay Culkin was involved in the finish. Enough said. We had The Miz versus Evan Bourne. Why did the commentators insist on burying The Miz? Because that's all they do. As soon as he came out, Jerry the King Lawler said something John Cena had said to him, that The Miz was the who's who of who cares. And I was like, that's not funny. That's just Cena and his below average wordplay. Okay? This was... Why did they insist on it? And they just kept on doing it, mocking The Miz. And at one point they buried Evan Bourne as well by saying it would be embarrassing if The Miz lost tonight on Raw. Why would that be embarrassing? Evan Bourne's really good. You're terrible at commentary. So yeah, there was that. This match was okay. Everything just kind of missed. Before it, The Miz cut a promo, and it was a good promo. It was a promo about how he was going to make the greatest turnaround in WWE history by 1 week being fired and in a few weeks becoming US champion, which I liked. Because The Miz is so good that as much as John Cena buries him in the ring, on the mic, and as much as the commentators bury him on commentary, I still believe in The Miz. He is a legit main eventer in my eyes. He is that good. Anyway, so DX reunion. This was classic. I love this because there'd been all this hoopla surrounding DX. Oh, DX are coming back! Oh! All of this. Jerry King Lawler and Michael Cole were just so excited about it. Oh, so excited. We got all these montages of why DX were reforming and the old DX, which mainly contained some of the later incarnations of DX. They don't really show the early DX, which was clearly the best bit, although it was all shit in my view. And then we have Triple H and Shawn Michaels walking backstage doing their little midlife crisis DX moments, where Triple H abuses Jillian Hall. So that's a small girl and a woman so far DX has destroyed. Add to the list Santino Marella, who Shawn Michaels super kicks. So they're doing all that. Then they get to the ring and the crowd are loving it. And I'm just like, oh, this makes me sick. And they're doing all their stuff. And Triple H says, are you ready? And then Legacy come out, to the people with the least charisma I've ever encountered, and they just kick the shit out of DX, a returning DX. They just destroy them. And Triple H gets up at one point, and I go, here we go, here's Triple H coming back and destroying them both. No, Legacy just destroy them some more. This was awesome. This was so funny. I really, really enjoyed this. It made me have unrealistic expectations for their SummerSlam match, which will definitely be shit. Anyway, John Cena cuts a promo. It's awful. It's truly awful. I think John Cena's quite good at promo, but this was so desperate, you know. He was trying to be funny so hard. It's just one-liner after one-liner. They were all terrible. Like a child telling jokes. He had Josh Matthews with him, and he was just... Josh Matthews was like forcing out a laugh, even though it was clearly so unfunny. It was embarrassing. Leading to the main event, John Cena and Randy Orton versus Big Show and Chris Jericho. Right. If you're going to do this kind of match, then John Cena and Randy Orton must lose, right? There's no reason for them to win. None. The other team, the United team, has to win. That is a must. That's not what happens here. After a terrible match, right, Cena comes in and just destroys Big Show and Jericho. Jericho gets hit with the attitude adjustment out of nowhere, in Michael Cole's own words. Not a good thing, Cole. Not a good thing. and then he pins Jericho, and it's been made a lumberjack match by Freddie Prinze Jr. So all the face lumberjacks come in the ring, and Big Show and Jericho beat them all up. So Big Show and Jericho are better than all the faces on Raw, right? Then Cena comes in and destroys Big Show and Jericho. So Cena just went over all the faces on Raw. 2 weeks ago he went over all the heels, this week he goes over all the faces. Why? Big Show and Jericho have to win this match. The other team are divided. This was terrible. Everything about this was shit. This was so Raw. But the rest of the show really wasn't like Raw at all. It was really good. I enjoyed it. The last half an hour was weak, but it was a really good show overall. Anyway, turn over to part 2.